couple of weeks ago in episode 315, I talked about something I did early in teaching that I didn't realize was crushing my planning period. I had made up this rule in my head that units should be about 2 weeks long, and I applied it across every class I taught. So everything started and stopped at the same time, which meant everything came due at the same time, which meant I was constantly sitting down during prep, staring at a pile of urgent things that all felt equally important. And if that episode hit home, today is the next layer, because even when you fix the calendar collisions, there's another sneaky reason planning periods still disappear. Perfection. Not the perfection like I want it cute, perfection like if I don't get this the right way, it's going to fall apart. So today we're talking about how to stop spending your planning period on perfect so you can spend it on done. Welcome to the Secondary Teacher Podcast, the podcast for middle and high school teachers juggling multiple preps to get the strategies to reduce overwhelm so that you don't have to choose between being an effective teacher and prioritizing important relationships. I'm your host, Kristen Masick, a 10-year high school engineering teacher, former middle school assistant principal, and teacher coach. Every week, we will discuss strategies, systems, and time-saving tips to help you not only survive but thrive as a multiple prep teacher. Here's what I didn't understand back then. When you're overwhelmed, your brain doesn't just crave efficiency, your brain craves control. So when I sat down during prep and felt behind, the tasks I reached for were often the ones that felt like control, the ones that could be polished, the ones where I could keep tweaking until they felt ready. And meanwhile, the tasks that would have actually made my life lighter, like grading a class set, giving feedback, writing the directions for the next project, those were the ones I'd push to later. I even had that crate system back then. Pre-kids, I'd put a crate in my car in the morning because I already knew I was taking work home again, and it was full of grading mostly, but I also had these 3-inch binders I'd created for each of my classes. I was trying to be super organized and create masters for everything. Those binders didn't last past that school year because I was always recreating and experimenting, but at the time I thought if I could just get them organized enough, everything would feel more manageable. And looking back, it wasn't just that I had too much to do. It was that I was using my best planning time on tasks that expand and then carrying the heavy relief tasks home. That's what perfection does in a planning period. It eats the time and leaves you with the same mental load. Perfect doesn't make your week lighter. Finished does. Some tasks naturally expand to fill whatever time you give them. They're not bad. They're just dangerous inside a limited planning period. Expanding tasks sound like, let me just make this clearer. I'm going to improve this one part. I should rewrite this so it's better. I'll polish it while I'm here. And if you're teaching multiple classes, managing lab logistics, tech issues, and grading, expanding tasks will consume your prep and still leave you with nothing you can check off. So your first job is to ask, does this task have a finish line, or can it go on forever? If it can go on forever, it needs a boundary. Here's the framework I actually use and teach inside the Multiple Prep Teacher Academy to define good enough for real classrooms. Before you polish anything, make sure these 3 essentials exist. Introduce. How are your students going to learn this concept? Do you have a way to introduce the topic? Practice. Do students have a way to practice it with demonstrations and feedback? Do you have a way to reteach if they don't get it? Produce. Do students have an opportunity to produce something so you can see if they learned it? This could be as simple as an exit ticket, or it could be a project. That's it. Introduce, practice, produce. If those 3 things exist, class can run. And once class can run, you can spend your limited prep time on what actually lowers your mental load. This is also where perfectionism hides behind the mask of being a good teacher, because you'll tell yourself you're doing it for students, and sometimes you are, but sometimes you're trying to calm your own anxiety by making it flawless. So ask yourself, do I need to do this better, Or do I need this to be finished? Perfection doesn't stop on its own, so you need a stop rule. Here are 3 that work in the real world. Stop rule A, time cap. I'm giving this 20 minutes. Timer goes off, you stop. Stop rule 2, minimum viable product rule. Now, if you know me, you know I was an engineering teacher, and in manufacturing and lean principles, there's this concept of a minimum viable product, the simplest version that still works. So when I'm creating something for class, I ask myself, what's the minimum viable product here? What's version 1? Version 1 is allowed to be plain. Version 1 exists so class can happen, and that's enough. You can always improve it later, but you can't improve it if you never finish it. Stop rule C. Relief first rule. Before you start, ask, what would make tomorrow feel lighter? If the thing you're working on doesn't answer that, it's not the right prep task today. A stop rule is not lowering standards, it's protecting your life. If you're listening and thinking, okay, but if I don't make it really good, it's going to fall apart. I hear you, especially when you're teaching multiple classes and everything feels like it has to work the first time. Because quite honestly, that's probably the only time you're going to teach it until next year. But most of the time, your class doesn't need perfect. Your class needs clear, and you need peace. Peace doesn't come from flawless materials. Peace comes from fewer open loops. Peace comes from not carrying grading out to your car because prep got spent polishing something that was already good enough. You're not failing because you want things to be good. You're a teacher. Of course you do. But you're allowed to be a teacher who finishes. In your next planning period, choose one task you tend to perfect. Before you start, write a stop rule at the top. 20 minutes and done, or version 1 only, or if this doesn't make tomorrow lighter, I'm not doing it today. Then finish one thing that reduces your mental load, and when it's done, let it be enough. You're not behind because you care about quality. You're a teacher. Quality matters to you. But you're also allowed to care about your life outside of teaching. And the way you protect that is by finishing what matters and letting go of what doesn't. Your next planning period doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be yours. Until next week, take care of yourself and keep finishing the things that count. If today's episode was helpful to you, it could be for others. So make sure you share it with your colleagues and tag me on Instagram at Kristen Masick, KHRISTENMASSIC. Until next week.